Welcome to Flavor Street. Thanks for joining this delicious journey. Let's explore new flavors and create tasty memories together. Räkor, shrimp, served fresh with lemon, garlic butter, and often accompanied by bread in Sweden. To prepare räkor, shrimp, the Swedish way, which is typically served fresh with some basic accompaniments, here are the ingredients you'd need. Ingredients for traditional Swedish räkor. Fresh shrimp, preferably unpeeled, small or medium-sized for traditional serving. Lemon, to squeeze over the shrimp or as wedges for garnish. Butter, melted, for dipping, optional. Dill, fresh dill, for garnish and flavoring. Rye bread, a slice of dark rye bread is often served as a base or alongside the shrimp. Mayonnaise, optional, to serve with shrimp for a creamy contrast. Caviar or roe, optional, to top the shrimp for extra luxury. Swedish caviar like lodrum can be used. Cucumber, thinly sliced, often used as a garnish. Garlic, optional, minced for added flavor if serving with melted butter. Instructions. Boil or serve fresh. If you're using fresh shrimp, you can serve them just as they are, straight from the sea. If they're frozen, you'll want to thaw them properly and peel them. Prepare accompaniments, slice lemon into wedges, chop fresh dill, and cut cucumber into thin slices. Serve, arrange the shrimp on a plate with rye bread, lemon wedges, and dill. You can also offer a side of melted butter and mayonnaise for dipping. Smørrebrød, a traditional Danish open-faced sandwich, often with herring, egg, or roast beef. Smørrebrød is a traditional Danish open-faced sandwich, typically made with rye bread and topped with various cold cuts, fish, or other local delicacies. The toppings can vary widely, but the key is using fresh, quality ingredients and presenting them in an artful way. Here's a classic recipe for making smørrebrød with some popular Danish toppings. Basic ingredients for smørrebrød. Rye bread, rugbrød dense, dark, and slightly sour. This is the traditional base for smørrebrød. Butter, to spread on the rye bread to add richness and flavor. Common toppings. Pickled herring, sill, a classic Danish topping, often served with onions, capers, and fresh dill. Roast beef, thinly sliced roast beef, topped with pickled beets, crispy onions, and horseradish. Smoked salmon, lox, often topped with dill, lemon, and a bit of mustard sauce. Egg and shrimp, a hard-boiled egg, peeled and sliced, with cold shrimp, mayonnaise, and a sprinkle of paprika or dill. Liver pâté, leverpostage, a spreadable, creamy pâté, sometimes topped with sautéed mushrooms or crispy bacon. Cheese and ham, a simple and delicious option with Danish cheese and slices of ham or salami. Cucumber and radish, fresh slices of cucumber and radish, often with a little dill or chives for extra flavor. Optional garnishes. Fresh dill, chives, or parsley for extra freshness. Lemon wedges for squeezing over fish or shrimp. Capers and pickles for added acidity. How to assemble smørrebrød. Prepare the rye bread. Start by cutting the rye bread into slices, usually about ½ inch thick. Spread butter. Spread a thin layer of butter on each slice of bread to create a rich base. Add your toppings. Place your chosen toppings artfully on the bread. For example, for a classic herring smørrebrød, you would place the pickled herring on the bread, then top with onions, capers, and dill. Garnish. Finish the sandwich with any garnishes like fresh herbs, a squeeze of lemon, or a sprinkle of spices. Serve. Smørrebrød is often served as an open sandwich, without a top slice of bread, so you can enjoy all the flavors in each bite. Pølse med brød, hot dog, Danish-style hot dog with a variety of toppings like mustard, ketchup, and crispy onions. Pølse med brød is a classic Danish hot dog, and it's one of the most beloved street foods in Denmark. It's simple but incredibly satisfying, with a juicy sausage nestled in a soft bun and topped with a variety of condiments. Here's how to make this iconic Danish street food. Ingredients for pølse med brød. Danish sausages, pølse the star of the dish. These sausages are often slightly spiced, usually made with pork, and have a natural casing that gives them a satisfying snap when bitten into. You can find similar sausages at specialty stores or butcher shops. Hot dog buns, soft, slightly sweet buns are preferred. You'll want a bun that holds the sausage well without overpowering it. Ketchup, a classic topping that adds sweetness and tang. Mustard, typically yellow mustard, which gives a sharp contrast to the sweetness of the ketchup. Köttbullar, Swedish meatballs, small meatballs served with lingonberry sauce and mashed potatoes. Köttbullar, Swedish meatballs, are a beloved classic in Swedish cuisine, often served with lingonberry jam and creamy mashed potatoes. These meatballs are tender, juicy, and packed with flavor. Here's a simple recipe to make your own köttbullar at home. Ingredients for köttbullar. For the meatballs: 500 g ground beef. You can also mix with ground pork for a juicier texture, around 250 g beef and 250 g pork. 1 small onion, finely chopped. 1 egg. Half a cup breadcrumbs. Half a cup milk, to soak the breadcrumbs. 1 teaspoon salt. 1/2 teaspoon black pepper. 1/2 teaspoon allspice, optional, but it adds a great traditional flavor. 1/2 teaspoon ground white pepper, optional. 2 tablespoons butter or oil, for frying. For the gravy: 1 tablespoon butter. 2 tablespoons all-purpose flour. 2 cups beef broth, you can also use vegetable broth or water. Salt and pepper, to taste. 1 tablespoon soy sauce, optional, adds depth of flavor. 1 teaspoon heavy cream, optional, for a creamy finish. For serving: lingonberry jam, a traditional Swedish accompaniment. Mashed potatoes, often served on the side, with butter and cream. Instructions: prepare the meatballs. Soak the breadcrumbs. In a small bowl, mix the breadcrumbs with milk and let them soak for a few minutes. Sauté the onion. In a small pan, sauté the chopped onion in a bit of butter or oil until softened and translucent, about 5 minutes. Let the onions cool for a bit. Mix the meatball ingredients. In a large mixing bowl, combine the ground meat, soaked breadcrumbs, egg, sautéed onions, salt, pepper, allspice, and white pepper. Mix everything well using your hands or a spoon until it forms a smooth mixture. Shape the meatballs. Roll the meat mixture into small balls, about the size of a golf ball, or smaller if you prefer. You can also wet your hands slightly to prevent the mixture from sticking. Fry the meatballs. Heat the butter or oil in a large skillet over medium heat. Fry the meatballs in batches, turning them gently until they are golden brown on all sides and cooked through. This should take around 7 to 10 minutes per batch, depending on the size of your meatballs. Remove the cooked meatballs and set them aside. Make the gravy. In the same pan, melt the butter over medium heat. Add the flour and stir continuously for 1 to 2 minutes to make a roux, a thick paste. Gradually add the beef broth while stirring, ensuring no lumps form. Bring the mixture to a simmer. Season the gravy with salt, pepper, and soy sauce, if using. Let it simmer for about 5 minutes to thicken. For a creamy gravy, stir in a tablespoon of heavy cream. Adjust the seasoning to taste. Combine and serve. Return the cooked meatballs to the pan with the gravy and simmer them together for a few minutes so the meatballs absorb some of the gravy flavor. Serve the köttbullar with mashed potatoes, lingonberry jam on the side, and a spoonful of the rich gravy over the meatballs. Tunnbrödsrulle, a Swedish flatbread wrap with mashed potatoes, grilled sausage, and cucumber. Tunnbrödsrulle is a delicious Swedish street food, often enjoyed as a quick and satisfying snack or meal. It's essentially a wrap made with tunnbröd, a thin, soft flatbread, filled with a variety of ingredients, most commonly grilled sausages, mashed potatoes, and a mix of toppings. It's simple, hearty, and full of flavor. Here's how you can prepare Tunnbrödsrulle at home. Ingredients for Tunnbrödsrulle. Tunnbröd, Swedish flatbread. This thin, soft flatbread is the key to the dish. If you can't find Swedish tunnbröd, you can substitute with a soft flour tortilla or pita bread. Grilled sausage, korv typically, a Swedish sausage like grillkorv or prinskorv is used, but any favorite sausage will work. Mashed potatoes. The mashed potatoes should be smooth and creamy, adding a comforting and hearty texture to the wrap. Mustard. Swedish yellow mustard is commonly used for a tangy flavor. Ketchup, another classic topping, adding sweetness and contrast. Pickled cucumbers. These add a nice crunch and a slightly tart flavor that balances the richness of the sausages and potatoes. Fresh herbs or chopped onion. Optional, you can add fresh herbs like dill or chives or even some chopped raw onions for extra flavor. Optional additional toppings. Curry sauce, a sweet and savory sauce that adds a unique twist. Cabbage slaw. Some variations of the Tunnbrödsrulle include a fresh cabbage slaw to add some crunch and extra freshness. Instructions. Prepare the sausages. Grill or pan-fry the sausages until they're fully cooked and golden brown on the outside. You can also cook them on the barbecue for extra flavor. Once done, set them aside. Make the mashed potatoes. Boil peeled potatoes until they're soft, around 15 to 20 minutes. Mash them with butter, milk, salt, and pepper until smooth and creamy. You can adjust the amount of butter and milk to get the desired consistency. Prepare the tunnbröd. Warm the tunnbröd lightly, either by heating it on a dry pan or in the oven. This will make it more flexible and easier to roll. Assemble the Tunnbrödsrulle. Lay the warm tunnbröd flat on a surface. Place a grilled sausage in the center of the bread. Add a generous scoop of mashed potatoes on top of the sausage. Drizzle with mustard and ketchup. Add pickled cucumbers for a bit of tang and crunch. Optionally, top with fresh herbs, chopped onions, or cabbage slaw if desired. Wrap and serve. Roll the tunnbröd around the sausage and mashed potatoes tightly, folding in the sides as you go, similar to wrapping a burrito. Serve immediately while warm. Sill, pickled herring, a classic Scandinavian treat often sold in markets in jars or served on bread. Sill, pickled herring, is a staple in Swedish cuisine, often served as part of the traditional smorgasbord, buffet, or at festive occasions like midsummer or Christmas. It's a simple yet flavorful dish, with herring marinated in various pickling solutions that typically include vinegar, sugar, and spices. There are many variations of sill, depending on the marinade, but it's usually served with bread, potatoes, and sometimes sour cream. Here's how to make traditional sill, pickled herring, at home. Ingredients for pickled herring, sill. Fresh or frozen herring fillets. You can find fresh or frozen herring fillets in many Scandinavian or specialty stores. If using fresh, make sure to clean and fillet the herring. 1 cup white vinegar, this provides the tartness for the marinade. Half a cup sugar, to balance the acidity of the vinegar with some sweetness. 1 cup water, to dilute the vinegar and create the brine. 1 small onion, thinly sliced, adds sweetness and depth to the pickling solution. 1 bay leaf, for flavor. 1 teaspoon whole peppercorns, for a mild heat and depth. 1 teaspoon mustard seeds, for an additional mild spice, optional, but typical in some variations. 2 to 3 whole cloves, adds warmth and a hint of spice. 1/2 teaspoon ground allspice, to give a traditional Scandinavian flavor. 1/2 teaspoon salt, to enhance the flavor. Fresh dill, for garnish and flavor, optional, but it's commonly used. Instructions. Prepare the herring. If using fresh herring, fillet them carefully, removing the bones and skin. Alternatively, you can use pre-filleted herring from a store, which is often available in Scandinavian markets. If the herring fillets are very salty or brined, rinse them under cold water to remove excess salt before starting the pickling process. Make the pickling solution. In a small saucepan, combine the white vinegar, water, and sugar. Bring the mixture to a simmer over medium heat, stirring occasionally to dissolve the sugar. Add the whole peppercorns, mustard seeds, cloves, allspice, bay leaf, and salt. Stir to combine. Once the mixture comes to a boil, reduce the heat and let it simmer for about 5 minutes to allow the flavors to meld. Remove the saucepan from the heat and let the pickling solution cool to room temperature. Layer the herring. In a clean jar or container, layer the herring fillets with thinly sliced onions. You can also add a few sprigs of fresh dill between the layers if you like. Once the pickling liquid has cooled, pour it over the herring and onions, making sure the fish is fully submerged in the brine. Pickling process. Seal the jar or container tightly and refrigerate. Let the herring marinate for at least 24 hours, though it's best to let it sit for 2 to 3 days for the flavors to fully develop. Serve. Serve the pickled herring chilled, with slices of rye bread or crisp bread, knäckebröd, boiled potatoes, sour cream, or a hard-boiled egg on the side. It's also common to serve pickled herring with a dollop of mustard sauce or lingonberry jam for added flavor. You can garnish with more fresh dill or finely chopped onions if desired. Sill, pickled herring, a classic Scandinavian treat often sold in markets in jars or served on bread. Sill, pickled herring, is a staple in Swedish cuisine, often served as part of the traditional smorgasbord, buffet, or at festive occasions like midsummer or Christmas. It's a simple yet flavorful dish, with herring marinated in various pickling solutions that typically include vinegar, sugar, and spices. There are many variations of sill, depending on the marinade, but it's usually served with bread, potatoes, and sometimes sour cream. Here's how to make traditional sill, pickled herring, at home. Ingredients for pickled herring, sill. Fresh or frozen herring fillets. You can find fresh or frozen herring fillets in many Scandinavian or specialty stores. If using fresh, make sure to clean and fillet the herring. 1 cup white vinegar, this provides the tartness for the marinade. Half a cup sugar, to balance the acidity of the vinegar with some sweetness. 1 cup water, to dilute the vinegar and create the brine. 1 small onion, thinly sliced, adds sweetness and depth to the pickling solution. 1 bay leaf, for flavor. 1 teaspoon whole peppercorns, for a mild heat and depth. 1 teaspoon mustard seeds, for an additional mild spice, optional, but typical in some variations. 2 to 3 whole cloves, adds warmth and a hint of spice. 1/2 teaspoon ground allspice, to give a traditional Scandinavian flavor. 1/2 teaspoon salt, to enhance the flavor. Fresh dill, for garnish and flavor, optional, but it's commonly used. Instructions. Prepare the herring. If using fresh herring, fillet them carefully, removing the bones and skin. Alternatively, you can use pre-filleted herring from a store, which is often available in Scandinavian markets. If the herring fillets are very salty or brined, rinse them under cold water to remove excess salt before starting the pickling process. Make the pickling solution. In a small saucepan, combine the white vinegar, water, and sugar. Bring the mixture to a simmer over medium heat, stirring occasionally to dissolve the sugar. Add the whole peppercorns, mustard seeds, cloves, allspice, bay leaf, and salt. Stir to combine. Once the mixture comes to a boil, reduce the heat and let it simmer for about 5 minutes to allow the flavors to meld. Remove the saucepan from the heat and let the pickling solution cool to room temperature. Layer the herring. In a clean jar or container, layer the herring fillets with thinly sliced onions. You can also add a few sprigs of fresh dill between the layers if you like. Once the pickling liquid has cooled, pour it over the herring and onions, making sure the fish is fully submerged in the brine. Pickling process. Seal the jar or container tightly and refrigerate. Let the herring marinate for at least 24 hours, though it's best to let it sit for 2 to 3 days for the flavors to fully develop. Serve. Serve the pickled herring chilled, with slices of rye bread or crisp bread, knäckebröd, boiled potatoes, sour cream, or a hard-boiled egg on the side. It's also common to serve pickled herring with a dollop of mustard sauce or lingonberry jam for added flavor. You can garnish with more fresh dill or finely chopped onions if desired. Skagenröra, a Swedish seafood dish, typically a shrimp salad served on bread or crackers. Skagenröra is a classic Swedish dish made from shrimp, often cold water shrimp, mayonnaise, dill, and other fresh ingredients, typically served as a topping on bread or as a filling for sandwiches. It's fresh, creamy, and a bit tangy, making it a favorite in Swedish cuisine, often served during festive occasions or as a delicious appetizer or lunch. Ingredients for Skagenröra: 250 g cooked shrimp, preferably small, cold water shrimp, peeled and deveined. Half a cup mayonnaise. You can also use a mix of mayo and sour cream or crème fraîche for extra creaminess. 2 tablespoons crème fraîche or sour cream, optional, for added tang. 1 tablespoon Dijon mustard, optional, for a slight tang and depth of flavor. 1 tablespoon fresh dill, chopped, plus more for garnish. 1 small shallot, finely chopped, or a small red onion. 1 teaspoon lemon juice, freshly squeezed. Salt and pepper, to taste. Lemon wedges, for serving. Caviar, optional, for garnish, traditionally lodrum or sturgeon caviar. Freshly toasted bread or knäckebröd, Swedish crisp bread, to serve. Instructions. Prepare the shrimp. If you're using frozen shrimp, thaw them in the refrigerator and drain them well to remove any excess liquid. If fresh shrimp are available, make sure they are peeled and deveined. Roughly chop the shrimp into bite-sized pieces, depending on your preference. Make the Skagenröra. In a bowl, mix together the mayonnaise, crème fraîche, if using, Dijon mustard, lemon juice, and finely chopped shallots or onions. Stir in the chopped shrimp and chopped dill, and mix gently to combine all the ingredients. Be careful not to mash the shrimp, you want to keep some texture. Season with salt and freshly ground black pepper to taste. Serve. Spoon the Skagenröra onto slices of freshly toasted bread, knäckebröd, Swedish crisp bread, or use it as a topping for crackers. Garnish with a sprinkle of fresh dill and optionally a small spoonful of caviar for an extra luxurious touch. Serve with lemon wedges on the side for squeezing over the dish.